community activist, ladies and gentlemen, and this is his first time on the Communicators. It will not be his last. We have to do a series with him as it relates to the lyrics in rap music, which adults don't listen to. We just hear the music, people going abba dabba doo, but what is in the lyrics could very well be programming our children to violence and definitely disrespect, not only of other human beings, but disrespect of mothers, grandmothers, wives, sisters, you name it. And when you have that kind of situation, you have chaos, quiet chaos in the community. Without further ado, we are doing an abbreviated interview with him because we are starting late, but it's going to be packed full of information. And the program, The Communicators, does not reflect the views, attitudes, whims, these, or any other proclivities of the resident association of the Grant Houses. However, the program does reflect the research done by the participants in the program who are live and living color and in studio and by phone interview. And now we have Brother Akil. Thank you once again for joining us, brother.
I appreciate the opportunity to be on here and share some of my thoughts on this topic. You mentioned the program of the youth. One thing that comes to mind is certain literature. And I think that's the key, too. I think we have to, as a community, as a larger collective, we have to become more voracious and more vigilant in terms of our reading. In general, gain a better understanding of some of the things that are happening to us, some of the things that have happened to us. And then if we understand history, we understand environmental conditions, and then we can see what will be happening to us again in the future. We can try to plan for that, to try to defend ourselves again as we try to build a new society. But in terms of programming, one fact that comes to mind is the book, fictional novel, which when you read it, it seems like it's what's really like a blueprint for what's been happening. But Brave New World by Aldous, where he talks about the children, the way the children were brought about. The children were not, in that text, in that novel, children were not allowed to be raised by their parents. They were basically raised in dormitories. And in the dormitories where they slept, familiar, they slept in these beds, on their bed frames that were speakers underneath pillows in their bed frames, where as they slept, these different ideas would be indoctrinating them, overnight, while they were sleeping. So that's what came to mind when you mentioned the program, because it definitely is some type of program that is definitely propaganda, and I use propaganda as a neutral term, but there's a lot of negative propaganda within if we talk commercial rap music, and I want to be very specific about commercial rap music, the rap music that will allow people to become multimillionaires because they're helping to maintain the status quo. And if it makes of a Thomas Sankara quote, if you are familiar with Thomas Sankara is the late leader of Burkina Faso, the nation in West Africa, who was instrumental in the Burkina Revolution. That nation was fighting against the French for their liberation and their independence, and basically just their human dignity. And they were working to try to build a new society as a Pan-African, along people like Samora Machel in Mozambique and Southeast Africa, and then you had Maurice Bishop in Grenada in the Caribbean, who also were doing that type of work. One of Thomas Sankara's quotes was, "The enemies of a people are those who keep them in ignorance." The enemies of a people are those who keep them in ignorance. So if we look at the commercial rap music and we look at a lot of the people in mainstream culture, especially the popular culture, we look at the conversations that they're having and the type of things they're talking about on their radio programs, the types of things that they're talking about on their television programs. These are things that are meant to just distract us from what is really important. So they're paid large sums of money, handsomely, to keep people in ignorance. So the response to that is to have more programs like this where we can have discussions about things of much more substance. I've learned myself that a lot of times we waste energy, myself included, trying to get them to change. They're never going to change, most likely.
Right.
But what we can do is we can start to create some different type of programming to give some different information. We can have conversations about, the good violence, and just violence in general in rap lyrics, and we can reference texts such as not just the world or upbringing world, but we can reference books by like the late Amos Wilson. Amos Wilson's book, Black on Black Violence: The Psychodynamics of Black Annihilation in Service of White Domination. I'll say that title again: Black on Black Violence: Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination. And this book, essentially, his overall thesis is that black on black violence is the term that a lot of people like to throw around to basically absolve the dominant white culture in this society of any responsibility for the murders of black people on us. Chinese on Chinese violence is not really a term that's used. White on white violence is not, typically a term that's used. But he basically argues in his thesis that black on black violence is just white on black violence by remote control. When we think about how the white power structure is just that, it's a power structure. So a lot of us are educated and socialized, and actually I should say miseducated and socialized in institutions that are controlled by this white power structure. We are then socialized to want to emulate and mimic whatever the white society is doing, what the white power structure is doing, and then we end up emulating and mimicking their own beliefs about the black community and their beliefs about us. So then it makes sense that, well, if these Europeans are trying to murder us, then we should try to murder us too, right? Because that's what powerful people are doing. Powerful people are killing black people, and powerful people do not recognize and appreciate the value of black life. So therefore, if we want to emulate them and mimic them, then we should not value black life either. So we should be killing black people too. And then when you get into the commercial rap music, which is often used as a tool of genocide and destruction, one of the main staples that you'll hear if we really listen to the music and analyze it the same way we would analyze literature. We hear that, constantly it's all about, killing other black men rapping about killing other black men. It's never, and it's very interesting because, we're not talking about, and we're not talking about killing race traitors. People like Tom and Pharaoh, the two enslaved Africans that basically told when Gabriel Prosser, back in the year 1800, attempted to lead a major slave rebellion in Richmond, Virginia, and these two Africans told on him. So it helped to foil that plot. They're not talking about killing race traitors. They're not talking about killing people like William O'Neill, who basically was infiltrated the Chicago Black Panther Party and ended up being instrumental in Fred Hampton and Mark Clark being murdered. That fateful night, December 4th, 1969. They're not talking about killing these types of black people. They're talking about just killing random black people in general. And it's never about killing those responsible for rampant unemployment in the black community. It's never about killing those that are responsible for our contaminated drink water in places like Newark, New Jersey, or Flint, Michigan, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or any place where there's contaminated drinking water, where young children are ingesting lead levels, which cause them to be crazy, basically. It's never about that. And part of that is a lack of education and a lack of understanding of who their real enemy is. But then you do have those that do know better, but they just have a fear and a cowardice that they're not willing to speak truth to power, and they feel like their arms are too short to box with those that have power. So they kind of pick on somebody that they see as weak, like they see the black community and see other black people as weak. So we become low hanging fruit or a convenient target, to direct all this vitriol, this anger towards. When we think about the commercial rap music, but because another quote that we can, we go back to Thomas Sankara. I offered a Thomas Sankara quote earlier, but another quote we talk about is that one of his quotes is that a military without political training is a potential criminal. A military person without political training is a potential criminal. Now, when he says political, he's talking about a proper political training in anti-colonialism. Because everything we do is political. I say that, even the most commercial rap music that gets the most airplay on the radio that no one would think, as no one would consider it to be intelligent or replete with any type of political science concepts. It is very political. When you're talking about maintaining the status quo and getting people to be fixated on consumerism, on commercialism, Eurocentrism, that's very political. Right? That's a very political thing.
Brother Akil,
even though it's not anti-colonial, even promoting colonialism is very political. Yes,
Brother Akil, go back to that military trainee. Go back to that statement. Sankaras.
A military without political. Yeah, from Thomas Sankara, a military without political training is a potential criminal.
Okay, got it.
Because he has a gun, you give him or her a gun, and without the proper political training, they'll actually act out a lot of the language and the rhetoric and the propaganda that's within the commercial rap music. Which is, we just need to kill other black people,
right? Because
that's seen as the solution for our problem. Kill other black people. We don't even know who our enemies are because we haven't been politically trained. We haven't been properly politically trained. We don't even know. Well, they don't even know, and many of them don't care to find out. But also that then puts a responsibility on us, those of us that do know better, to create educational spaces, educational institutions, even if they're on a small scale. They don't have to be a huge school that can serve necessarily a huge school that can service 2,000 students. Be a small educational space where we can, converge on a public library that we're paying for anyway with our tax dollars. We pay for the public library. But we should be able to take advantage of it. It's space. If we may talk to 2 or 3 young brothers and sisters, for an hour, provide them with that necessary political education, similar to how the Black Panther Party provided political education as well as cultural education during their free breakfast program during the 1960s and 1970s.
Brother Akil, you're a relatively young brother, and when I say relatively, you're in that age group of individuals who have been affected by rap from the standpoint of just listening to it as consumers. You are one of the few who is analyzing the lyrics and looking at the political environment, the non-political environment, or the oppressive environment in which this product is produced. What made you follow this path? What makes you different? What is it that you see in your experience that has not been part of the experience of your contemporaries?
What's made me different?
Yes, sir. When you look at your contemporaries, you really, I saw you at the ASCAT in Brooklyn, and that is a group of they're young people like yourself, but they're much older individuals who have been carrying the torch of freedom, justice, and equality from the 60s and the 70s. And I'm asking what factors in your development has put you on this path where you're taking a step back from rap, analyzing it, and then giving the benefit of what you see to others?
Well, there are a few. That's an excellent question. I think there are a few factors. One factor is just by nature, I tend to be an analytical person.
Okay.
I tend to ask questions, and I've always been that way. That's one thing. The other thing is that my earliest upbringing was what was imbued into me was Pan-Africanism, was an understanding of African-centered worldview, the work of the late Dr. John Henrik Clarke, the work of Marimba Ani. My mother was a student at Hunter College and took courses with both of them, under both of them, right. Their courses. My father also was, a historian, is a historian, and was a teacher, and also imbued into me a lot of these things. So that was my early introduction, my early orientation. I was oriented that way as a baby and as a toddler and as an infant and as a young child. When I got older, I strayed away from that, almost like a prodigal son. But as the Bible story speaks to, prodigal son returns. So it's almost like, Omawali. Like Malcolm X went to West Africa for that extended period of time. He traveled through West Africa, traveled through the continent, actually. And in Nigeria, he was renamed by the Nigerian people as Omawali, Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. Omawali, in that language, the sun has returned. So I look at it as I've returned back to, at some point in my life, I had to return back to my original roots. Even though I spent a lot of time embracing and attempting to embrace a lot of the propaganda and the ideology within the commercial rap music. So I think that's why I have another or more serious analysis of it, because I'm able to look at it as a person that was an insider that, kind of lived my life by the tenets of it. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to step away and say, okay, no, yeah, this actually did not make sense. Or this actually was not, well, within those goals, within that of a bourgeois Negro, which was my goal to become, and my aspiration was to become a bourgeois Negro and to be a rugged individualist, to be a black capitalist, and all those things. Embracing all of those tenets of commercial rap music makes perfect sense. But once you step away, you change that ideology, that fundamental philosophy that governs your life and governs your existence, then you start to see the contradictions. The contradictions.
Brother Akil, as we begin to round out this interview, share with us some of the observations you've made on rap artists who tried to weave positive cuts into their albums. That your observation.
So some of that is very useful. We can take it and repurpose it and use it for educational purposes. Even those that are just promoting harmful lyrics, that can be used as education as well. There's good and bad in everything. We could teach. We can literally take any commercial rap music, commercial rap album, and teach capitalism. We could teach Eurocentrism.
Okay.
By just those lyrics. We really could do that. Thinking a lot about that recently. Taking the time to actually do that work, maybe as a future project.
I'm thinking. I'm sorry, Akil. I'm thinking of brothers like Nas. And it's an old cut. Be what you want to be. I know I can. Be what you want to be.
I can. Yeah. So yeah, we can use that. We can leverage that into some more African-centered educational outcomes. We can, but I would go even further back. I would go back to KRS-One.
Yes,
1980.
Definitely.
Back to X-Clan.
Yes, definitely.
And then with that, because they're coming out of more of a tradition that those scholars that I mentioned, like John Henrik Clarke. When you look at the self-destruction video,
right.
And it's collaboration with a lot of rappers, like Boogie Down Productions, of which KRS-One was a member. They were in the Arthur Schomburg library,
right,
in Harlem. But that's where they were.
Right. Now listen,
they were in there.
X-Clan is the product of Sonny Carson's son. Was one of the founders of that group. We're at the end of this short interview. What would you leave us with, parents, young people who hear this particular short interview regarding the dangers that are in rap, whether they like the tune or not? But what would you leave us with?
I think one of the things also that makes the commercial rap music so appealing is because young people, I think regardless of even, race or ethnicity, are looking for role models. Young people are looking for role models, they're looking for heroes, looking for, young black boys are looking for black men that they can identify with. Young black girls are looking for black women that they can identify with. So the rapper becomes that. It's like the athlete becomes that. But it's different from the athlete or the actor, because rapper is actually talking to them. The rapper is teaching them. The rapper is giving them guidance and giving them direction. So I think what we have to do in the community is we have to do more study of our own to find and identify and gain an intimate understanding of some better role models. So like earlier on, I mentioned a couple of quotes by Thomas Sankara. So to me, what I've done is I've begun to do the work of analyzing and examining brothers like Thomas Sankara, who should be, in addition to myself, should be a role model for my son, right? But I have to do as a parent and as a community member, I have to do that work of really reading through the work and the experiences of a Thomas Sankara or a Maurice Bishop or a Samora Michelle or Walter Rodney, or see all these names that we hear about and we may have a limited understanding of, but our children have never even heard these names at all. So I think that what has to happen is there has to be some type of battle, some type of conflict that we have to elevate. We have to elevate this conflict between true role models that will help us to help our youth to want to invent a new world and a new future, as opposed to the commercial rappers that they're given by the white corporate power structure that will motivate them to just try to fit into the current world and just try to make money while they're at it.
Brother,
so we have to do that work
hold tight.
Those role models.
Brother Akil,
yeah.
We're at the very end. However, can we get you black on next Sunday?
Next Sunday is the 24th?
No, wait a minute. Brother, I done lost time. It's 24? It's 24.
Yeah, 3 p.m. We can continue this conversation.
Okay, good. We're going to do that, and it's going to flow right from the prior interview or show that we have just before this one. So we're going to have a good time next week.
All right. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. All right, my brother. I'm sorry for the abbreviation. We got another interview right behind this, but we're going to have you black on next week, and we got some brothers in the studio who have questions for you and observations as it relates to what you presented today.
Okay.
All right, my brother. Thank you, Brother Akil.
All right, thank you.
Peace.